Okay, Bassem, you said that you don't believe Israel's being held to account.
Yeah.
The Biden administration halted weapons shipments to the
Oh
Middle
my
East.
God.
What do you
Oh
make of
my
that?
God. Oh my
You,
God. Oh my God. This is, whoa, after $26 billion?
well, couldn't the people say the same thing about you and about those who support Palestine?
Where's my funding? Where's my funding? I'm being not being. I'm sorry. How can you compare me with an APAC with like a lobby that has pledged to pay $100 million, and in return they are bringing $26 billion to Israel? This is the best ROI I have ever seen in my life. How can you compare individuals like me who go to do comedy or have an account to social media? How do you compare that by the power of be that braggly openly tells you that we control your politicians and you as an American are okay with this?
What
How
you're
can you how can you be okay with this as an American? Because I'm new to this. Are you guys used to that? Are you used to that kind of humiliation by
well,
your
listen.
by,
What I'm responding to you is you saying when you took your pledge, you said you had to pledge allegiance to America and renounce
Mhm.
allegiance to any other country, and
Yes.
so that is where my question lies. If
Ah,
you
okay.
believe
What is he saying? So hold on, you pledge of allegiance to America. So why is there an issue when you're criticizing Israel? Does he think Israel is a part of America? I'm sorry, is it a 52nd state? 51st state? Like what's going on? Actually, if anything, we're probably Israel's second state.
how is my allegiance? Do you how where is in any of what I just said right?
So is the American allegiance combined with Israel? So if you pledge allegiance to America, you pledge allegiance to Israel as well. That was the most stupidest comment. I can't believe this guy right now.
Now can be considered an allegiance to a foreign country. I am an American citizen and I don't want my taxpayers' money be sent to a country that has been violating international laws. I have not mentioned anything. I'm talking about Palestinians. I don't think I have allegiance to Hamas or the West Bank or Gaza because that would be stupid, right? The American politicians are openly wearing IDF uniforms in Congress, like Brian Mast, and they are bragging about taking money from Israel and sending money back to Israel, while me and you paying the tax dollar money in order to finance that. Again, can you repeat? Can you just like let me know where would whatever I just said right now shows that I have allegiance to any other country?
I
Where?
it's Bassem, I'm asking you a question because after
No, no,
you
you just
said
asked
that,
me, and
yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
clarifying. You said like
yeah,
the same could be said about you.
yeah.
Where's my where's my double loyalty?
Well, if folks they're when sending in aid and giving money to help the people in Gaza, some of that money would possibly go to help Hamas.
Hmm.
That's what they believe. Some of those supplies may go to actually help Hamas. I think what the American people believe. Again, this is not my belief, but I think what the
But
American
I'm sorry,
people.
you said some of the money, like the flour, the flour massacre, the people were killed as they were collecting the flour. That
But
is the kind of money that Hamas
if
was
you'll let me
taking.
get in,
Okay. Hmm.
what American people will say is that there's no Hamas on the other side. There's no Hamas comparison to in Israel.
Interesting. So let's talk about Hamas. How did Hamas originate? And I'm sorry. And can I just like a pop quiz? 2019. Who said this? In order to prevent the establishment of a
Netanyahu.
Palestinian state, yeah, Netanyahu. Netanyahu. So Netanyahu basically he was caught on tape many times bragging about sending money to Hamas. So every time you tell me Hamas, I will tell you Netanyahu. So can we just like enough of that because I'm really sick and tired of like the same conversation again. You guys are talking about Hamas, and Hamas has been bolstered and being financed under the eyes and nose of Netanyahu. So I don't know
Well,
even know what kind of
I don't
conversation we're
I don't
having.
know. If it sounds to me like you're saying Israel is not being held to account, and no one is going. You don't believe that anyone in the Western world and the international community. You don't think that they're going to hold Israel to account. Is that what you're saying?
Can you show me an evidence that says otherwise? Because they have never been held to account. They have been running away and going away with war crimes underneath everybody's eyes. And maybe people are just like wasting time and asking, useless questions. What is the proportionate response? How can we end Hamas? It's just like, it's stupid. I mean, talking about international law, when you have 12 Republican senators sending a threatening letter to the prosecutor of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, so like, if you go behind Israel, we're gonna go after you and your family. What is this? Is this like some sort of a mafia movie? What's next? They're gonna send them an offer they cannot refuse?
So, Bassem, you've heard this a million times, but what about October 7th? Israel has a right to defend itself. And how do you put a number to that? They have to do what they have to do in order to stamp out Hamas.
Interesting. So the right to defend yourself.
I'm sorry. Who is, like, I know Don Lemon used to work on CNN. I never really listened to him that much. I'm actually surprised at how ignorant and dumb he is. Like, does he do any research before bringing on guests like Bassem Youssef? Bassem Youssef is just going to destroy him. Honestly, Bassem Youssef is probably wasting some of his time. This is pathetic. Anyways, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel. We are one of the fastest growing channels on the subject. I constantly get demonetized. My videos, my channel's been demonetized in the last week. I got like 3 videos demonetized. If you want to support this channel, become a member. It's $2.99 a month. Link in the description below. Now let's continue.
Or any right comes with responsibility. Israel did not hold its responsibility for international law. It didn't hold its responsibility as an occupier that are responsible for those people. And it is just, maybe it was valid in the first 2-3 days. Oh, what's the proportionate response? But like 40,000 people. So what is your number in that? Is 50,000 enough? Because I cannot believe that a country that's been supplied with the most modern technology, they are just like, we killed children. We didn't mean to. We have videos of them shooting little kids in the head, snipers. Is Hamas hiding behind that little baby, behind his head, is in his diaper? We have multiple reports, videos of IDF soldiers admitting using Palestinians as human shields.
Honestly, do Palestinians even use human shields? I mean, at this point, they know it doesn't work. And by the way, this interview is pretty old. I think it's like 8-9 months old. I personally have never watched it. It's my first time. And I'm sure many of you have not watched it either. So I hope you enjoy it.
It was so bad that in 2005, the Israeli Supreme Court prohibited the use of human shield because it was happening so often. And yet they still continued it. And the worst spit on the face on this is that in 2007, the commander of the IDF in the West Bank, Yair Golan, was reprimanded for approving the use of human shields. But then he was promoted to Deputy Chief of General Staff. 2020, he was elected to the Knesset, then became the Deputy Minister. And 2022, he published a video saying that he was proud using Palestinians as human shields. So can we just like get enough of the deflection, of the projection? Because everything that Israel has been accusing the Palestinians of doing, they have been doing in themselves. And nobody seems to give a fuck. America first should be on people's agenda, not Israel first. So if you go in and you continue paying an arsenal to continue killing women and children, it's not a war. It's a one-side. War is between two competing adversaries. You have like people being killed in refugee camps, and I don't understand how can this continue.
Well, I want to go back to Don Lemon's initial question where he said, does Israel not have the right to defend itself? Sure, it does. But then if we're going to say that, do Palestinians have a right to defend themselves? When their houses are being taken away, when their families are being killed, do they have a right to defend themselves? I don't know. Double standards.
And I really want to hold my politicians accountable. But I came here in order to know that my vote makes a difference. If my vote doesn't make a difference and whoever I vote into office would just give more concession to Israel, why are they even there? It is mind-blowing. How is not every single platform, every single news show in America talking about how our democracy is being hijacked in front of our eyes while they are bragging about it? It is the biggest gaslighting operation I've ever seen in my life. How are you not losing your mind about this every single day?
Just the other day at his trial here in New York City, speaking about the pausing of the shipment of weapons. Watch this.
Thank you very much. What Biden is doing with respect to Israel is disgraceful. If any Jewish person voted for Joe Biden, they should be ashamed of themselves. He's totally abandoned Israel, and nobody can believe it.
Now, he has, I want to get your response to that, but remember when he criticized Joe Biden for saying, if you vote for Trump, you ain't black? Do you remember that?
Yeah. It's the same. It's the
Is he
same
basically
thing.
saying the same thing to
Yeah,
Jews?
absolutely. But it's kind of like I wish someone would abandon me and give me $26 billion. I am craving for that kind of abandonment. But Joe Biden has been playing kind of like samurai with all of the stuff that's got. Oh, I've seen decapitated babies. Have you seen? No, I haven't seen. I'm sorry. And then Anthony Blinken goes in and talks about this crazy story about Hamas fighters like killing and raping and killing someone's breast and then sitting down and having breakfast, which is, I mean, I don't know even how people can report that. But it becomes a charade. It becomes as a charade. And the thing is, we are right now seeing for the first time how the audacity of people saying that they work for a foreign government. They even wrote a bill called the anti-Semitism law. Even Jewish people's like, this is too much. This is crazy, guys. These are all of those people talking about counterculture, sticking to the man, cancel culture. They are canceling our First Amendment, our right to expression. Basically, if you criticize Israel, you could be penalized. You could be called. So, by the way, 25%. There's a poll that is done that said 25% of Jewish people in America believes that Israel is a racist state. So now 25% of Jews in America, that's 1.5 million, are anti-Semitic. So I don't understand how is even that kind of laws being written, and how people don't even speak about it. And all of those people of the First Amendment and the freedom, where have they gone?
That's actually my biggest fear, because I think most people would not agree to this, where where you make free speech into a crime. So, basically some of the things I remember from that bill is, if you're anti-Zionist, that's anti-Semitic. If you criticize Israel, that's anti-Semitic. If you support BDS and you boycott Israel, that's anti-Semitic. There was many, many things on that bill, and the fact of the matter is, I don't hear enough people talking about it. People should be outraged. And I get scared sometimes when no one's talking about it. These kinds of bills just slide through and no one notices it.
We are heading to elections right now, right? And a lot of people tell me Biden or Trump, and I tell them, it's a tough choice. I mean, both candidates are competing. Who can be Israel's favorite bitch? Biden, after supplying Israel with weapons, sending 26 billions of my tax dollars to them, and having his spokesman like Weasel Kirby gaslighting reporters in their faces every day. And after that, the Israelis are not satisfied. The conservatives on the right are bitch slapping Trump. How could you do that? How could you leave Israel? And then Trump and Kennedy on the other side, they're waiting. Oh, Israel, pick me. I am the one for you. And it is so humiliating as a U.S. citizen. I'm a new citizen, to see that my candidates are competing not for the betterment of
Bassem,
our lives as Americans. Go ahead, sorry.
There are only two choices. And I think I agree. I shouldn't say I agree. I think that Joe Biden is between a rock and a hard place, because he is supporting Israel. He's getting a lot of criticism, especially from the left wing of the Democratic Party, for supporting Israel. And it may actually hurt him or cost him the presidency. What would you have him do? Because if he stopped supporting Israel, it would be a major change in foreign policy for the United States. What would you have him do?
Are we talking about what's right or what's good for his re-election? No, are we talking about what's right? Because if he wants to win the election, of course he has to support Israel. The Israeli lobbies, Joe Biden is the highest paid candidate by the Israeli lobbies, $9 million over his career. He's the number one recipient of AIPAC money and Israeli lobbies money. So of course, I mean, at the end of the day, Arabs, I mean, we just sell vapes, so I don't think we can generate that much money. But if you are the United States and you are the leader of the free world, and you pretend that you are holding the morals of the world and upholding the international law, you guys are supporting an apartheid, racist, rogue state that has been killing human beings for 6 months, not just for 6 months, for 75 years, really, and you're not doing anything about it. So it's not about like, what should he do? It's like, are we talking about what is the right thing to do, or what is the thing that he should do to be reelected? Because these are two different questions.
You really believe that the U.S. is supporting apartheid? Are you saying what Israel is doing is akin to an apartheid regime?
Have you done any research about Israel at all?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay.
I'm asking you. Do you?
All right, Jerusalem. Let's talk about people with Israelis passports, citizenships. 20% of Israeli population are Arabs. All right? Arabs in Israel with an Israeli passport supposedly have full citizen right. There are more than 60 racist laws against them. If you did a little bit of research, you will find that there are 60 racist laws against. There are zoning laws like the Jim Crow laws. Palestinians with Israeli passports are not allowed to live in 81% in the land of Israel, or own 93% of the land in Israel. If you are a Palestinian with an Israeli passport and you fall in love with someone in the West Bank, you cannot move him into Israel. You have to move out. Just a couple of days ago, the desert of Najaf, which is inside Israel, Israel went in and just destroyed Bedouin houses. They have destroyed houses in the East Jerusalem. It's a carceral state, which is basically, it's a state that uses the legal system in order to advance its political agenda. We talk a lot about like Israeli hostages, but nobody talks about Palestinian hostages. There are 9,000 Palestinian hostages in Israeli prisons. The CNN has just released a report talking about the horrible conditions that in these concentration camps, and I use concentration camp because it's exactly like concentration camps, and it is horrific. It's like as if you're taking a walk in Auschwitz.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is the media portrays it as two different things. So they will refer to the Israeli hostages as Israeli hostages, and the Palestinians that are caught, they'll call them Palestinian prisoners or something like that, Palestinian criminals.
So maybe someone like, I don't know, Jake Tapper, your previous colleague, can take a note from that, because for the last 6 months, all he's been doing is just like bringing people with questionable testimonies to advance the rape hoax that was proved to be like lies time after time after time again, including someone like Chris Cohen, who changed his testimony 5 times until he found his way to Jake
Bassem,
Tapper on 4th of January. Yeah.
And so when you say you believe that the Biden administration is supporting an apartheid regime,
yeah,
then what would the next move be? What would you have Joe Biden and the Biden administration do? What would you have America do at this point?
Well, I have a practical solution and a little bit of an impractical solution.
I'm not sure what Bassem Youssef is going to say. Obviously, this is old. Joe Biden lost. She was going to lose. Trump won. But what I would have said is that Biden just needs to stop giving them weapon support, 100%. That doesn't mean you're anti-Israel. It's just you're stopping to support it and forcing Israel to the bargaining table to actually negotiate. Because when you're just backing them down, the power dynamic is so huge, they have no reason to negotiate. They could literally destroy the whole place. And they did do that.
The practical solution is Israel is a client state. Israel is not an ally, it's a client state. It takes money from us. You and me and every other American have their tax dollars being paid, being shipped $26 billion in the last 6 months to buy weapons to kill children.
Why doesn't Donald Trump talk about that trade deficit, huh? Imagine all the money that we're giving them. What are we getting back in return? That's a pretty big trade deficit, billions and billions of dollars, Mr. Trump.
And women. That has to stop. And they are guilt tripping everybody. Why don't the Arab countries take Palestinians? You know, it's like going into the streets, shooting someone in the face, and then so it's like, why is not anybody burying the corpse that I just killed?
Or like imagine there being a war in some random, I don't know, like Czech Republic, and then telling Russia, why aren't you taking them, man? Why aren't you taking all those people over there? Why? Just because they're white? That makes no sense.
Previously said that you don't care about the prospect of another Trump presidency. You don't care if he wins the election. You just want to see Joe Biden win. Joe Biden lose? Do you still feel that way?
Why do you vote for a certain candidate? You sort of vote for a certain candidate because they would represent your your interest. Now, if I see both candidates, their number one agenda is supporting Israel. Me, as a person, as a human being, as an American citizen, does not fall on the list of their priorities. It's Israel and nothing else. Because I'm an Arab or Muslim or Middle Eastern or whatever, I mean, if I am an American who lives in Delaware or lives in Mississippi, I'm a school teacher or I have a small business, and then I see my tax money being shipped overseas, not just aid for Israel, not just for weapons, but I see things like Friends of the IDF, and I see other charities that are taking tax exempt money, sending them to build illegal settlements, to finance American IDF veterans. I mean, the IDF have collected $600 million in the past 13 years. And I wonder if any of the Hollywood celebrities who attend these dinners even donate for American veterans or even work for the writers of the actors or the Actors Guild.
I've been talking to people about the disconnect between, there's an age gap about how young people feel about our Israeli policy, the United States Israeli policy, about the war in Gaza, and how older people feel about it. And even among Jews, some of the younger people are on the, out here protesting. Why do you think that is? I think it's because the younger people only know Israel through a Netanyahu far right administration, and so that is what they think of Israel, as a sort of far right.
In my opinion, I think it's because people are finally able to see what Israel is doing to the Palestinians because of social media. Back in the day, we did not have that. We had to believe whatever Israel was saying, and we all know they're masters of the media and propaganda. So I think social media has opened everything up, some on Instagram, a lot on TikTok, some of you even on X, and that's how we're able to see everything with our own eyes.
I would disagree. I would disagree with you, Don, because basically the only difference is that now you have internet and you have knowledge, and people are getting to know information for themselves. Not so long ago, it was the state-run media that was running the narrative, telling you exactly what you should think. Now with the internet, with TikTok that they want to ban now, people are knowing more and more about Israel and its history. It's not like a left or right.
You think they've learned more instead of less? Because people will say, well, it's TikTok. They're only getting little bits and pieces. They're getting bits and pieces off of the internet. They don't know the history. They should visit Auschwitz, and on and on.
Interesting. So let's talk about knowing more, because basically this is what Hillary Clinton just said in a couple of days when she went on Joe Scarborough, and she repeated her husband lies about this. She said like, oh, those young people, you see, this is the way that you belittle college people. These young people, they don't know anything. I mean, and she repeated her husband lies about Palestinians rejecting the peace treaty and Arafat going, leaving the thing. And I want you, this is very important, Don, to bring you to your attention, because it shows you how complicit and how dishonest the media and the politicians are. John Scarborough, father-in-law in 2009, Chvinis Brzezinski, he came on his show, and he was the national security advisor. And Joe Scarborough repeated the same bullshit about Arafat moving and Palestinians refusing. And the guy told him that that his information is surprisingly superficial and it's embarrassing listening to him. And he schools him about what really happens and how Arafat was giving a really lousy deal. He accepted it, and he attended the Egyptian summit with Ehud Barak. And then he said, like, please give me time because I need to consult the other Arab leaders because this is a very bad deal. He didn't walk up. And then Ehud Barak left in the middle and he lost the election to Sharon. Sharon came and he completely decimated the Oslo Agreement. And Netanyahu was bragging about sabotaging the Oslo Agreement. So that happened in 2009. So 15 years later, when Hillary Clinton, out of all shows, comes on the same show where Scarborough was schooled by his father-in-law, and she repeats the same lie, and Scarborough doesn't even give her a pushback, telling her that I had the security advisor telling me that this is not the case. And you even have a headline with Bill Clinton say that Netanyahu sabotaged the peace treaty. So when you have all of this, and then use that like, oh, but the little kids don't know. No, they know. The reason that they actually are revolting and they are protesting, Don, is that now they know. Now they know. And this gaslighting cannot work anymore. Those little kids, those people in Colombia that they were vilified and belittled by the media, they did the same thing in 1968 when they occupied Hamilton's Hall for the Vietnam War. They did it in 1985.
I don't think that anyone.
I'm actually very hopeful for the future because the way you see, like Don Lemon mentioned earlier, you see fractions on the left side of the Democratic Party actually being anti-Israel. You would never see that. 10 years ago, you would never see that. You're also seeing a lot more Democrats and Republicans. You got Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Dan Bilzerian, a lot of conservative people, a lot of them, Thomas Massey, who are more and more opening up to the idea of not supporting Israel, which is insane. So now you got bipartisan, people on both sides actually going against Israel and saying America first. I mean, different reasons. Democrat Party is more like, oh my God, genocide. Republican Party is more like, we should be America first. And then when you add on to that, the fact that the TikTok generation is very anti-Israel, I think in the future, look, I'll be honest. Unfortunately, I feel like the Palestinians have lost a lot of their land. They lost most of it now, right? But I do think in the future we have a chance of stopping all this influence from AIPAC. I think we have a big chance of doing that in the future.
We'll disagree with you that people have the right to protest, but I think the problem that people had with Colombia was the breaking and entering, the
breaking and entry.
Property.
So destruction of property. So what happened? What about the USLA, where there was no breaking and entry, where there was no occupation? Those people stayed peacefully, and then for 4 hours they were attacked by pro-Israeli mob under the eyes and nose of the police.
None of them have been arrested.
And none of them has been arrested. And then they left them a day, and they waited until they were asleep, and the police came in, and they have arrested everybody. How is that? All right. And the thing is, the rhetoric that has been used against those kids is very reminiscent of what happened in, if you remember, the Kent State massacre. Do you remember that?
I remember Kent State.
Remember that?
1968. I remember 1968 news reports, but I do remember. Kent State.
Like Jim Rhodes, he was the Ohio governor. He said that these people, that they are worse than the brown shirts, and I think we are up against, what did he say? Oh, the strongest, well-trained, militant revolutionary group that has ever assembled in America. And Donald Reagan in the People's Park protest, when he said, if it takes a bloodbath, let's get it over with, no more appeasement. And now everybody knows who was on the right side of history and who's the wrong side in history. And nobody learns from history, and it's been happening again. New York Times, that have run with the most outrageous stories about the rape stories that was refuted, that was proved by the Israeli media themselves to be hoax, to be wrong. They win a Pulitzer Prize. It's the same New York Times that claimed that there are 450 miles of tunnels inside of Gaza. That is more miles of tunnels than there is the New York subway system. How can you believe that? It is the same way that Amy Schumer gets on the cover of Vanity after promoting the genocide, or Bill Maher thinking of what he's doing is comedy by punching down of little college kids, or Dr. Phil going to Israel to whitewash Netanyahu. But I mean, that's okay, because Dr. Phil is used to hosting predators, so it's on brand. There has been a little bit this disconnect between the people and the political and the media elite. Remember the thousands and hundreds of people that went and marched against the Iraq war? Did that change anything? Remember the thousands of people who went and marched against the Afghanistan war? Did that change anything? All of these college people, their life has been decimated. Their careers has been spoiled. And you know why those college students are being, they are such a thorn in the side of politicians? Because those people, I've heard one of them speaks I don't care about my career, my degrees, if I don't stand up to my morals and my ethics. And those people, the presence of those people shows how weak and a sellout and a horrible people in the media and the politics have been. Their presence is a nightmare for them. The media didn't say anything about when 8 Columbia students were hospitalized in January after an attack with an illegal chemical weapon that was perpetrated by 2 former IDF soldiers who are current Columbia students. They use skunk water. It is basically something that's developed by an Israeli company called Oldertech. And this has been deployed by Israeli forces as a crowd control weapon at protest. When the media ignores this and talks about signs and certain chants, and about protests that has been proven 97% peaceful, and yet they were killed. They were beaten up. When people ignore the valedictorian of USC, Asna Tabassum, was refused to get the right of commencement speech, and that has never happened. And then encampment happened, and they went in and they beat everybody. Don't you see, as a private citizen, watching the news, how frustrating is this? And the students will say that does not represent us. And still the media runs away with the most obscene example to prove to you that those people are anti-Semite or hateful or violent. And then you have the NYPD commissioner showing chains that are used to for bicycle safety as a proof that they're using weapons. This is exactly what I have seen in Egypt. This is exactly what I've seen in the Arab world, how the government would planting evidence on the students so they would vilify them against the public.
Yeah. And many of the students who I spoke to were Jewish, and they told me why they were there supporting Palestinians. So that does happen. But
I
and I do
appreciate you,
think that,
Don.
yeah. So I do think that when there are skirmishes, the cameras turn towards that. But that is natural. When people are breaking into buildings, the cameras will turn toward that. When cops are trying to move people, the cameras will turn toward that. I'm not saying it's right, but that is what happens. So
that's why that's why I love Macklemore. Have you seen his recent hit?
No, I have not.
Oh my God! Yeah, you haven't seen it?
No, I have not.
Oh my God, Macklemore had it's called Hind's Hole. You remember when Hamilton Hole, they renamed it Hind's Hole after the little girl Hind who was 6 years old that was trapped in a car that was bombed by the IDF for hours, and it was used as a bait to kill all of the victims. Remember?
I've seen it. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
So that's why I love Macklemore. Like, ignore women and children being killed en masse. But hey, the IDF is the most moral army in the world, my ass. Still, the media keeps giving Israel a pass, but that's okay as long as we all condemn Hamas. Mass graves with people hands zip tied. We've all seen this has been worldwide. Where's the free press? Where did they hide? Spotting IDF lies, covering up daily genocide. Sorry, did the word genocide hurt you? Oh no, that's something Israel won't do, but they do. Stop pretending you don't have a clue. All of you knew, but none of you speak up. Not of you, even a few. You all have been lying while babies in hospitals are dying, ignoring the politicians Israel been buying, calling everyone an anti-Semite while that shit in flying. So wake up, guys. Your journalistic integrity is in decline. How about telling the truth? Maybe grow a fucking spine. Now, how do I wrap up this lousy rap of mine? Well, I'm a comedian. I should end that with a punchline, but I have none. Not this time. So how about something else, something that can rhyme? I know, Free Palestine. Hey. I love Macklemore, and he inspired me.
I did not expect that at the end of this. Wow.